Yo, so guys, it's King Sean here, and in today's video, I'll be going over 5 Commanders players that need to prove themselves in the 2025 NFL season. Before we get into today's video, make sure y'all leave a like down below, subscribe if you're not already subbed up, and turn on notifications. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into today's video. Alright, so like I said in the intro, I'll be going over 5 guys today that I feel like will have to prove themselves this season or improve this season, starting with Marshon Lattimore. We traded for Marshon Lattimore at the trade deadline last year. We were all super excited because we knew we needed the cornerback help. I mean, our cornerback room last year was Emmanuel Forbes, Benjamin St-Juste, and Michael Davis going into the season, as well as Mikey Samuelson. But those 3 guys, I mean, Forbes, St-Juste, and Davis were all terrible. So to get Lattimore, we were super excited about that. He didn't play, I'm pretty sure, the first 4 games he got here. He didn't play versus the Steelers, the Eagles, Cowboys, nor Titans. So he played his first game with us versus the Saints, his former team, and he was really good in that game. But then versus the Eagles, he kind of struggled. I feel like him and A.J. Brown won some, lost some, so I don't think that was a bad game from him. But the second Eagles game, he definitely struggled a lot. In the Bucks game, the wild card round, he struggled a lot as well. He played well versus the Lions though, but last year, Lattimore, he was just injured. He couldn't stay healthy. Didn't play a lot with us. So we really don't know with Lattimore right now. He has 2 years left on his deal. This year only has about $2 million fully guaranteed. And then next year has no money guaranteed at all. So if he does not play well this season, if he does not play like the Marshon Lattimore we were expecting, we can just move on from him after this year. And we would pretty much get back all of that cap space. We would save $18 million by cutting Lattimore next year, and we'd be getting all our money back, right? So if he does not play well this year, then we could just cut him, wash our hands, and move on, right? Now, obviously, that would suck because we traded a bit for him, but, you know, if he doesn't work out, then we could just get our money right back. So that's why Lattimore playing well this season is super important for not only him, but for us, because we don't want to cut him, right? We don't want to cut him. We traded a bit for him, traded a 3rd, a 4th, and I think a 7th for him. So we traded quite a bit for him, right? So we don't want to cut him. However, again, if he does not play well this season, and I think he will play well this season, I think, you know, full offseason healthy, learning the defense, I think he'll be good this season. But if he isn't, we can just cut him after this year and save $18 million in cap space. Next guy up is Daron Payne. And Payne is an obvious one in my opinion. Obviously, over the past 2 years, ever since he got his new deal, he's been disappointing for sure. In 2022, he had his breakout year, had 11.5 sacks. He made the Pro Bowl, was one of the best D tackles in the NFL that season. Him and Allen were one of the best D tackles duo, if not the best D tackle duo in the NFL that year, man. They were balling out. They both made the Pro Bowl. And Daron Payne, after that season, rightfully so, got a contract extension, 4 years, $90 million. However, since then, he's been disappointing. In 2023, he was pretty disappointing. Only had 4 sacks. Let me just double check that real quick. But I'm pretty sure he only had 4 sacks back in 2023, which, you know, is disappointing. And I personally did not expect him to have as many sacks as he did in 2022, but he still could have been disruptive, right? I still expected him to be disruptive, and he just wasn't that, right? And this past season, he also had 4 sacks, right? So, I mean, he had less sacks combined 2023 and 2024 than he did in 2022 alone, right? So that's disappointing. Definitely disappointing from Daron Payne, especially for the money we gave him. I mean, 4 years, $90 million. That's what, $22.5 million a year. So, I mean, we need more from Daron Payne, and this is basically a contract year for him because after this year, we have an out on his contract, and if we cut him, we save about $13.6 million, right? So his situation, kind of similar to Allen's situation, right? We had an out on Allen's contract, obviously, and we decided to cut him. He wanted a raise, and we was like, we ain't giving that to you. You were not great this past season. Although you were injured, you weren't great. You weren't making too much of an impact, so we had to cut you. Same goes for Payne. If he does not ball out this year, if he does not play well this year, then we can just let him go and we save a lot of money in cap space. Again, $13.6 million, and wash our hands, let go of that contract. He'll be off the books. So this is a big year for Payne, man, and you always got to be wary of contract years, guys, right? Because they'll only ball out. They may only ball out when it's a contract year, right? With Payne, we saw that, right? So if he balls out again, then I don't think I'd give him another contract, right? I'd probably just play his contract out if he balls out again this season because, again, contract year. Technically, he has 2 years left, but this is basically a pseudo-contract year, I like to call it, right? Because if he does not ball out, we can just cut him and save money, and he'll be gone, right? So, again, Daron Payne has to prove himself this upcoming season because if not, he'll become Jonathan Allen, and we will most likely move on from him and save a good amount of money in cap space. Next guy up is Ben Sinnott, and I have Ben Sinnott on this list because I feel like this year he has to prove that he can be our tight end one after Zach Ertz leaves. Obviously, we had Zach Ertz and Ben Sinnott last year. We have him again this year. Zach Ertz, he was great for us last year, and I don't think we expected to get what we got out of Ertz last year, and I feel like that's why Sinnott didn't get as many opportunities last year as, we were prepared to give him, right? Because Zach Ertz, he was just so good for us last year. Had over 650 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. He was an amazing tight end last year. A top 10 tight end last year, to be honest with you, right? Even a little higher than that, top 7, right? But you get the point. He was great in the playoffs as well. So because we got so much out of Ertz last year and Sinnott hadn't proved that he was able to be our tight end one, we decided to bring back Zach Ertz, right? So I feel like Zach Ertz, after this year, he's gone. Because of that, this year, Ben Sinnott, I think, will get more opportunities, and he needs to take advantage of those opportunities. Also, don't know if Zach Ertz will be able to play a full 17-game season again, right? I mean, we barely got a full 17-game season out of him last year, right? So will you really want to rely on him to give you a full 17-game season this year? Not sure. That's why we need to see something out of Ben Sinnott this year. I'm not asking for crazy numbers like 500, 600, 400 yards even. I'm asking for Ben Sinnott to show that he is capable of being our tight end one of the future after Zach Ertz leaves after this season, because after this season he's gone. If Sinnott does not show that this year, then we might be back in the tight end market after this year. We might be back in the tight end market regardless, because Zach Ertz, I think he's gone after this year, so we may need another tight end to add to the roster, right? But I would say if Ben Sinnott proves himself to be our tight end one of the future this year, then we will not have to look for a tight end one after this season, right? So that would be great, but Ben Sinnott, I feel like, definitely needs to prove himself this season. Next up, we have Luke McCaffrey, and with Luke, my expectations for him are a little bit different for everybody else. For me, my expectations for Luke is to continue to show his development. I want him to continue to show that he is developing, right? Last year, he had 168 receiving yards. This year, I would like him to double that. So, like, 300 plus receiving yards, right? Somewhere around 350, maybe even 400, but I'll put it in that 300 to 350 range, right? And maybe have 3 receiving touchdowns, right? Last year, he had 0. This time, I would like him to have 3. So, Luke, this year, I'm just expecting him to continue to show that he is developing and he can become a very solid receiver in the NFL in a year or 2, maybe 3, but most likely a year or 2. And that is my main expectation for him this season. And I feel like he needs to prove that this season, that he is developing into a pretty solid receiver that will hang around in the NFL for a while. So that's why I included Luke on this list. And then last guy up is Brian Robinson Jr. B-Rob, he's gotten a lot of criticism, I would say, from the fan base. Really since, I would say, December. Like, December, definitely. The end of season run, he just wasn't great. Versus the Falcons, he wasn't great. Versus the Eagles, he wasn't great. He had 2 fumbles versus the Eagles. And he actually doesn't fumble much. He does a good job of taking care of the ball. But that game, he fumbled twice. It was not a good game for him. Versus the Cowboys, he wasn't great. Versus the Bucks, he wasn't great. You got the point. He was not great to end off the season, and fans saw that, and they wanted more at the running back position, and I did too. I also wanted more. Now, I wasn't like a big B-Rob hater. Like, I wasn't one of those fans. Like, I feel like B-Rob has gotten a little more disrespect than, what he deserved, or more criticism than what he deserved, right? Because not all of it was on him in terms of, his production late in the season, right? The O-line wasn't doing a great job run blocking, especially the guys on the interior. They could have done a much better job. So not all of it was on B-Rob, but some of it was on B-Rob. Him not seeing, the open gaps and not bursting through those gaps. Him not having amazing speed, not amazing vision, right? Running into his blockers. So stuff like that. Reasons why fans are down on B-Rob. And I get that, right? This season, B-Rob needs to prove that he can still be a good running back in the NFL. Now, after this year, I think he's gone. I mean, you don't re-sign a running back in the NFL anyways. Extend them if they are not elite, one of the best, like a Derrick Henry, a Saquon Barkley, a Josh Jacobs, a Jahmyr Gibbs. If your running back isn't a guy like that, then typically you don't re-sign him or extend him. So unless B-Rob puts up numbers similar to those guys, like goes ballistic, 1,300, 1,400 rushing yards, which I don't think will happen, but unless he does that, then he is probably gone after this year. But the thing he can do this season is prove that he can still be a solid running back in the NFL. And I feel like he is a solid back in the NFL. I think he can help a team for sure, but he has to prove that this season. And if he does, then he may find a nice spot for him after this year in free agency next year. It probably won't be with us, but hopefully he does with another team. That is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what players you think need to prove themselves in the 2025 NFL season or need to improve this upcoming season. And other than that, it's been King Sean, and I'm out. Peace.